I mean, I think for me, having been a part of this friendship, and I do think Sella is a big part of the friendship in the sense of the closeness and tightness we
100%.
have.
Well, I think I
Because
create situations where we have to like.
Well,
Well,
I
you
think
don't
our
like, you would
perspective
have to like come
changed.
together
I mean,
and
you
fight.
can't
you know.
teach people how to be friends.
Right.
You
Mm.
do you know what I
We
mean? Like
can't.
it's just like we've had such experiences together that it's just made us better friends. Through those experiences. And I say the same thing about her amazing children. I
Right.
mean, like her children are amazing
Amazing.
in every sense of the word. And it's because they have lived a life that has taught them things that other kids don't get. And they're
Right.
all really good things, and they are. And I mean, they're going to go into the world with such a perspective and such faith that my kids won't see,
Right.
And I mean, I don't know. I think that's why it's hard too for me. I mean, I tell my kids' friends all the time, I do not pray for your husbands. I pray for your friends. If you have good friends,
Mm.
you will find the right person to marry. You will find the right job. You will find the right faith. I just want everyone to have, and that I know to have really solid friends. And I don't think we realized it was not normal.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? I mean,
Yeah.
and I'm not trying to say, oh, everyone has friends, but like I didn't realize growing up that, until I started making other friends and being like, oh wow, sometimes you're unconditional, but
Right.
they're not.
They're not.
And then you become completely drained
Right.
Yeah.
because you're giving everything and you're not getting that back. And so, but like I said earlier, she's changed every part of my life,
Yeah.
and for the better. And I'm just thankful that God chose us.
Well, that he created this friendship
Mhm.
for
Did.
many reasons, not
did.
just for Sella. I mean,
Mhm.
for all of us. So
It's very rare.
Yeah, I've never.
Very,
Yeah.
very, very, very rare.
And
And
we are
it's-
thankful.
You're so thankful.
I think it's something you're at an age now where you can value it even more. Like we've always had it as the safety net is how Stella explains it. But I always knew everybody goes through those rough and frustrating times in junior high, in high school, the
in
mean girls,
20s.
the this, the that, any of it,
You
right? And I always just felt safer, felt better, I knew that I had my girls, right? And it wasn't going to be like some stupid fight over any little small thing that was ever going to break the fabric. And what security that is, right? Because I know I see my niece, I see all these young girls, I see that you worry about like,
Competing with other girls.
yes,
And jealousy. And
it's hard. Everybody knows it's not easy to navigate.
No, but it's at any age.
Exactly.
I mean,
right?
the Mean
Yeah.
Girls, it
Right.
never ends. It
They
never
just get better at it.
stops.
I think
Yeah.
now-
I think that
Right.
women will be in an old age home fighting
Yeah.
each other.
Right.
That's
It doesn't
Be
have
fighting
a
over the
number.
90-year-old
Probably
man.
true.
Yeah.
There's only one of him, 90 of them. Yeah.
It's
But you see those phrases now where it's like, you should only be adding things to your life. Like you should let the drain,
Yeah.
the suck, let that go, right?
Mhm.
And how blessed are we that we've just always had this. Now we've fed it, like
Right.
you don't just leave a friendship and then
Right.
you definitely grow and nurture it. But we're just so incredibly blessed to have had this amazing
But I
safety
can
net.
feel all your energy, all your everybody. That's why you have this, because you were really, I feel like, meant to be together
Yeah, and
for her.
I draw on that energy.
Yes.
Like when I am in a coma, lying in the hospital bed, dying, I know their presence is what is lifting me up. And that energy is exactly what keeps me alive.
And I love the different aspects. Like Courtney and I have a whole different relationship
Right.
than I have with Amy. It's really just.
Well, and even Brittany and I have a different relationship because I didn't go to Baylor with
True.
them. So
Yeah.
Brittany and I weren't as close. I mean, they all lived together.
Uh-huh.
And so Brittany and I didn't get closer till maybe in our 20s,
Mhm.
even
Yeah.
after that.
Mhm.
So our friendship changes as we get older
And
also.
evolves.
And
Mhm.
yeah.
evolves. So,
Definitely.
and there was never any jealousy,
Mm-mm.
you know, like with
Yeah.
friends.
When
and
you
it's probably
came-
hard for Brittany
It was so fun.
to. Well, Brittany and I make a good power
We-
couple.
yeah.
I try to teach my daughters that too, because it's like we're so different, and like, so I am much more reserved, and I think we all play a different role
Mhm.
in the friendship. So it would have been easy for me to get jealous of Selwa because she's so bubbly
Mhm.
and, people
Or
just-
annoyed.
no, in a good way, and she can just walk into a room and everything. And I talk to my kids now and I'm like, no, that's an amazing
Mhm.
thing. You're
Right.
supposed to have someone different
Right.
Mhm.
because she made my life so much easier.
Mhm.
You
Right.
get to like tag along with her.
Right.
The
'Cause she knew
introvert
everybody.
with the extrovert. Like you
Mhm.
can't be jealous of those things. You have to embrace
You
them
have to
because they
embrace
make you
them.
better
You
Right.
appreciate it.
and
Yeah.
appreciate it.
Yeah.
They're like
And-
the Yaya sisters. Isn't it?
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
I don't know.
Yes.
I haven't seen that in a long time, but
I haven't
think
either.
it's
That is
I don't
such
think
a
I've seen it.
great
don't think I've seen-
comparison because that's it. They
Yeah.
remind me of my.
Oh.
Yeah, you're
That's
from
why-
Austria.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
It's rare, but it does happen, and when
Yeah.
you find them, it's incredible. And then when they can become friends together, like because you started with somebody, and then
Mhm.
everybody becomes friends. So special.
And that's what you want. You want people to have great friendships.
Yes.
Like I desire that for my kids. I desire that
Yes.
for everybody, especially women, because it's very important. And I feel like it's sad sometimes that that's not the norm.
Yes.
know.
Yeah.
I agree. And friendships break apart over such
Yeah.
dumb
Over
reasons.
such silly
And it's
things.
hurtful,
Yes.
and it can really change your
Mhm.
whole outlook on things. So I don't know. I'm thankful and I want that for everybody.
Everybody.
Yeah.
And we're all ready for this third transplant, and it's
Yeah.
gonna go smooth, right?
It is.
It will.
Yeah.
We know how to do it.
Yeah,
I do.
We're at the perfect place and we know the drill.
Yes.
Yeah.
I just look out, Duke.
look out.
Sorry, Duke.
Do they know yet about all the?
Yeah, they'll will. Oh, well, it's actually funny because they did ask
Uh-oh.
for, I know, they did ask, they're like, okay, so who is your support group? And obviously Scott will be the first one. And then, and I was like, well, and then I have, Ashley, Courtney, Amy, Britt. And they're just like, wait, what? And I was like, well, do you want all their numbers? And so like I had to give them all of y'all's numbers. And
Oh,
it was to the social worker who was normal,
Oh,
by
good.
the way.
Good. There's very few of us around.
Well, we have a funny story about a social
Yeah.
worker. But anyways,
I mean, we love all the social workers.
Yeah.
They do pretty much everything for us, but there are
Yeah.
some funny
Keepers.
stories.
There's
well, she
funny
was
stories
awesome. That
everywhere.
was what made
Yeah,
her so
she
awesome.
was
She did
awesome.
everything for us. But
No rules.
yeah, no rules. But yeah, so I was basically giving them all of y'all's names and just explaining, well, what will probably happen is they're going to take shifts and they'll come, because again, I can't be by myself. They won't let me.
Right.
Even though I'm like, I can do this. I'm like, actually, no, I can't. But like, I have to always have a caretaker. And obviously, Scott can't just be in North Carolina forever. I mean, he's so good. What y'all give him is he can have his own business and thrive and do so well because he has you guys. So he doesn't have to worry about me, But so yeah, I gave him all y'all's contact information and. So we'd just be ready for a call because I think she has to approve y'all or.
I just wonder if it'll be different.
I was about to
since-
say this is a post-COVID, world.
Yeah,
Where
no.
before, I
Things are
mean, we
probably a
were
little
in and out of
different.
the ICU.
Like no identification.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
we
No
lived
questions.
there.
We lived
We-
there. I
okay.
mean,
Pretty
we
sure they
packed
knew who
like
we were,
one
but-
backpack and a toothbrush.
And you like
and
wipe
that was
down
it.
in the bathroom
And
with
you-
wipies.
with
Yeah.
wipes.
I was like, do not bring a suitcase.
Right.
Yeah.
Do
you
not.
just bring a backpack
Yeah.
and
And y'all lived off
Yeah.
the vending machines. And
Dr.
or the
Pepper.
3-day-old
Mhm.
pizza
Yeah.
that we.
I didn't even know it was 3 days later.
oh my god.
Well, we didn't
I was like,
know
"This is
because
cold."
it's dark in there. So it's kind of like being in Vegas.
lose
You have
time.
no clue of
Time.
like time
hmm
because you're in a room like this that
Mhm.
is just constant. You're just constantly monitoring. So you lose track of like, oh, it's been 3 days.
Mhm.
Okay.
Wow.
Because you're up through the night
Yeah.
too. I mean, you're not just through the day and get to sleep from, 9 p.m. to 7 a.m. and get a great, 10 hours.
it's whenever
No.
I say.
Right.
Because apparently
Well, I mean, at the beginning, we would set alarms.
Yeah.
For like every 10 minutes. I would set mine for 10 minutes and then I would get up and then she would set her alarm for 10 minutes.
I was
10
like, I need
minutes, 10
1
minutes.
hour to
Yeah.
sleep. All I need is an hour.
Yeah.
And I can take my sleeping pill, knock out an hour, and then I can get up and I'm
because
fine.
you would see if she was
Wow.
like breathing and check her numbers.
Yeah.
It was 10 to 15 minutes is
Yeah.
all you would lay
10
down.
to 15 minutes.
And you were in a seat.
Yeah.
I mean,
It was like a
Maybe.
bench.
a bench.
Yeah.
And you put your feet.
She had
in
so many
chairs.
machines, and you know, I mean,
Yeah, I mean, it's not like you're in a luxury hospital room.
Tiny.
It's an ICU room, and
we had
And you're-
dialysis
and you're on the phone
machines.
with Scott, a
and you're on
lot.
the phone.
You know what I mean?
and
Scott is like, you know, it's
Right.
not like it was us just, you know, I mean,
Hanging
Scott was
out,
always
Scott's
on the
checking all
phone,
the numbers
checking
and.
Yeah, he's like, give me a rundown.
Right.
What's happening right now? And
But
you're
you
just like,
just sat
"Blah, blah,
on
blah,
a
blah."
bench and slept with your feet up and would take turns getting up every 10 to 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Is
That's
that
how-
when the machines had blood all over it? Or
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
so confused.
that was
what
right
part
after
we're at.
surgery.
So
Yeah.
Oh.
this, I mean, I don't know how many, I don't know what, I mean, if we don't want to share this, you can tell.
Yeah, yeah.
But like,
Thankfully,
so
I
the
don't
night that she got lungs on for the second transplant, it was crazy how long they operated on her just to get the old lungs out.
Mm.
You know, I mean, because think about it; those
All
are
the
in
scar
there.
tissue-
I mean, you
scar
can only
tissue, yeah.
imagine. You know, and so when we walked back into the, I mean, you know, they don't care about these things into the ICU. They'd obviously taken her bed to the operating room and back. There's blood everywhere. You know, I mean, like all over the. I mean, you know, because they're saving her life. You know, I mean, they aren't. You know,
Concerned.
they're not
Yeah.
concerned about all of those things. It took a while to clean up all the blood. I finally was like, "Do you think we could like clean up the?"
There was like blood
But it was
splatter.
still there. I mean, some of it
Mhm.
days.
but they're
later.
focused on saving her life.
They don't-
They don't
yeah.
care about those things, which is what they should be doing.
Well, and I would say even showing up, because I'm not good with
Yeah.
blood and at all. And Brittany met me in the lobby just to like you give them a rundown, and she's like, for the first probably couple hours, like I couldn't get up. I'd have to get up and then sit down because I would feel faint. And then I told Amy the same thing, like you're gonna go in there, and I mean, emotions are high also, so throw that into, and it's kind of the same thing. You had to like slowly ease into this, like, okay, we're in a war zone, like we're here to like battle, and
The first time I
Um,
saw you, that's how I felt.
yeah, you feel kind of like
I was like,
lightheaded.
oh no,
and,
I'm
right?
never blood. None of that bothers me. And I
Right.
walk in the room and I see you there, and Scott's just all in talking to the doctors and everything else. Trashmore's doing, Ashley's doing fine.
right.
And I'm sorry,
That's
we
okay.
have nicknames for each other. Anyway, and I see Selwa, and
It's
they hadn't-
overwhelming.
yeah, they hadn't been able to, because of the bleeding and everything, they hadn't been able to completely close her up yet. And so we were waiting 24 hours to see if there was any issues that were going to happen. And I was just like, it was the emotion of
It's emotion
like-
and for me combined with blood.
it. Just overwhelming.
Well, and it was so
Yeah.
different than the first one. So I
Very,
think like y'all were,
Very.
the first one was so easy.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
came in the room and you were on the vent, and it was just like
Yeah.
Yeah.
I walked out like a week later.
Yeah.
Yeah.
ran out,
And
basically.
this, and I think the third one is going to be more like the first one.
Right, because I think we're
You know,
ready.
I
I
mean,
think we're
there's a
ready.
proactive plan. You're totally ahead of things.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. I think it'll be hopefully like the first one.
Yeah.
I mean, again, I am worried about the whole like taking the lungs out
Yeah.
to put in the new ones. Like, so that's why I'm ready. Like, I'm mentally
Mhm.
preparing myself to be strong during that time because I really believe that our minds and like our will is so powerful. So I'm kind of just, having my little meditations and prayers every once in a while, just like, you will stay alive during the table. just
Mhm.
so,
Yeah.
yeah.
your mental strength is everything. I mean, her
Mhm.
mental strength is like nothing I can even imagine, and she definitely is proof that you can will anything,
Anything.
and even, I mean, the right before she went into lung failure that second time, she had literally finished her last test. I
Mhm.
mean, you have to go through this boot camp.
We
Like,
called it boot
So
camp.
she's going through the
Right.
boot camp right now, and like, but by the point she got there, it was like,
She was at
passing out.
past-
and,
yeah,
I
yeah,
mean-
and she had to do all
all
these
this
tests.
Mhm.
crazy.
I mean, it's
Oh.
crazy the tests, which I understand why. But we were talking on Marco, and I'll never forget.
I'll
I
never
still feel
forget.
really bad about this. We're all on Marco, and like
Uh-oh.
she made it on the list. That was the day she made it on the list,
And she had her.
and I was like,
I had my mask on.
Her
and
mask.
she had her mask, and
Oh.
I was like, the last thing I said was so. I said,
Now
you
you
know
can-
what? You've done everything you can do.
Uh-huh.
You know what I mean? Like, you should be so proud of yourself. Like, you've gotten to this point. You've done everything you can do. Now God takes over, you know, and you can just relax and then
Literally.
I did. I was like, you know what? I'm done. I agree.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna take it. Like, I'll peace out. Y'all take it over from here.
Yeah.
And I
And,
pretty
like,
much did that.
10
I
minutes
think
later,
the last Marco was,
that was it.
her with the mask.
Yeah.
the
Yeah,
Jason
And
it's
mask.
the CPAP or
It was
the
that CPAP thing.
yeah.
Yeah.
and well,
Yeah.
that was stressing me out.
It was
'cause
stressing you out, and you
and
said
then
that.
10 minutes later, they had to call 911.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, and I think it was just her being able, like, again, like your
Done.
mind.
like I was talking with them, like trying to be like, well, not trying, but I was strong for them, and I was like, I can do this.
Mhm.
And then I cut the ties. Y'all were gone, and I was just laying in this like very claustrophobic state,
Mm.
couldn't breathe, and I
Mhm.
was like, you know what? I don't have any tests tomorrow, and call. And then I remember just being like, Scott, call 911, and he's like, what? And I was like, just call 911.
Well, I mean, because even before the lung transplant, we were there like in shifts
Mhm.
to go
Yeah.
through these. Scott was there, but then he came home, and some of
Yeah.
us would be out there.
So,
and that
but
was over
these tests
Thanksgiving.
you just did, correct?
Yeah.
You don't
Right.
have to do those again.
Right. Like
Right.
I've done everything, and then I'll go back and do some repeat stuff, but it'll just
Thank
yeah.
goodness that she's so healthy going into those tests.
Right.
Yeah, it was a whole
Because
different.
Last time it was the timing. We were running out of time,
Right.
and she was just begging to get in, and you know, like, I'll do anything, and we just had to just mow it through real fast,
Yeah.
you know, and get her through all that. And this is a different.
It's different.
Yeah.
They
But-
weren't even
yeah.
taking lung functions at that point.
No, they were
No.
like "What's
because
the
they
point?"
were.
Yeah.
I mean, it was
They were.
obvious she
She
needed
was
them.
But
on
it-
oxygen.
But
full
I
time.
remember that phone call and like talking to you guys, and then right then, cutting, like, hanging up. And what's interesting is like I remember like pushing through that conversation because I wanted to have that conversation. I was like, I got this. And then when I realized I didn't have it, and I told Scott to call 911, to show how bad I was pretty much dead
Mhm.
talking to you guys.
Mhm.
Because once I know I really was,
Mhm.
because once I got into the ambulance and they were dragging me into the ambulance, I mean, they were just like, how is she even? I don't know if we can take her to the hospital. Like, I don't think we can. They didn't even know what to do with me because they didn't think I was going to make it to the hospital. And that was literally like an hour after talking to y'all. And y'all know how I was
Right.
talking.
Mhm.
I was like, guys, we can do this.
Mhm.
And that just shows you how strong our minds are to
Her
kinda
mind is.
Her
stick-
mind.
well, no, but,
I'm
well,
like,
again,
my
I've
mind
been
is still
tested.
like, no, I don't want my finger pricked.
And again, I always say this: we all have it in us, and you have to believe in yourself. And that's why I'm going into the third one, really believing into my strength and believing in our support system and my faith. And
Okay, but let me ask you something. So how are we making sure that you don't do that again?
right, yeah,
So how, like, are you gonna be able to
right,
admit it sooner? Because this is all you. Because you were,
you're right.
I'm fine, I'm fine, I'm
Right.
fine. But I feel like there is a point where you maybe should not wait that long.
I know it's a hard, again, it's that hard balance. And there's times in the day there's like, how am I doing this? And I'm like, should I be going to Duke right now? But then I'll go to bed and I'll wake up and I'm like, okay, I'm a little more refreshed, I'm restored. I'm blowing like 28%. Like, so that's another thing is I monitor my peak flow every day and it's pretty low. So I mean, I think when it gets to 25, I'm going to be like, okay, instead of waiting till December,
Mhm.
I'm going to just go. Because they told me to call them when they think I'm ready.
Mhm.
And you're right. Like, I really have to assess me. And because I don't want to go too early.
Mhm.
Because then once I'm there. And then
For
a while.
a
Mhm.
while.
And so I'm like, if I can hold off and still be with my kids. And I mean, I'm still doing school things and helping Mitch with his science fair project and, helping Bella write essays for college. Like, I'm still a mom. And the minute I go to Duke, I will have to go into robot mode.
Mhm.
And I have to leave my life behind, but short, like, so I can go back to my life. It'll be a short stint, hopefully. And so, yeah, it's a daily assessment.
Daily assessment.
Well, and I think the second one was also different because you were like here, we kind of thought you were going to get it done at Baylor
Yeah.
and you were very sick. So the second was just kind of not spur of the moment, but just like, oh, okay, you found Phoenix. I'm not going to say we, but you found Phoenix, so it went quick. But
Well,
I
we
think
were playing catch up.
you were playing,
Right?
right.
Like,
but I think for
you're-
a while, I think even in September, October, we were still thinking Baylor may do your second.
Yeah.
So come November, when Phoenix was like, oh, you can come here. So I think here you have more of a plan,
Mhm.
you've been planning longer than then.
This
Yeah.
is definitely like the best situation
Right.
Right.
that we could have asked for.
Right.
And that it's almost like you have that autonomy or the decision to make and say, this is the time I want to do this. And you'll know that time. But
Yeah, I think it's, because I'm still, y'all remember last time, y'all were wheelchairing me test to test. I remember when I would start having panic attacks because I couldn't
Mhm.
breathe, and Ashley read that you could put ice in that,
Mhm.
so she would hand me ice to help me not panic.
your
'cause
mind
I'm,
off of
I'm
it.
literally suffocating.
Yeah.
I feel like I have a plastic bag over my head, and I'm not at that point,
Good.
right?
Yeah.
But then it's like, but I am
Mhm.
in some ways. So
And that's when it goes back to like she can only do like a self-assessment and just know that God is going to show her when it's time.
Right.
Because it's just such a, astronomical thing to even
It
think
is
through.
astronomical.
I mean, like, how does this all line up and so I think she is really good as much as she like is strong and like, she's so good at knowing her body.
Mhm.
She is.
She knows. I'm so not in tune with my body. You know what I mean? Like, I could have, like, my leg could be bleeding and
Or
I
you could
wouldn't
be
even know.
pregnant.
I could be pregnant. There's a lot.
Let's be real.
I don't know. But she
Multiple pregnancies.
is obviously so in tuned with her body.
Yeah.
And
Always
has
has.
been.
Yeah.
has always been.
Has been.
So, yeah. But sometimes, too, she has to, like, write it down.
Yeah.
Because she'll forget day to day. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like, how am I feeling today? And how am I feeling?
we did that one year
Yeah.
in college, like when I had the tumor the size
we
of
would
a
journal
deflated.
all the symptoms.
I remember we were in the
Mhm.
apartment, and you were like, okay. And she was like a doctor. She had her notebook out, and she's like, okay, how do you feel today? I was like, well, it was really hard to tie my shoes today. Really. And
Yeah.
I remember thinking I could not even tie my shoes. You're like, okay, hard to tie your shoes. It's just like, so we were like, okay,
Check.
and just trying to figure it
We're
out.
both like 19 years
19
old.
years
But then it goes to show you how we're all in this like robot mode. Remember Nutcracker
Oh my
esophagus?
gosh.
So this is a funny story. Who I don't even know.
I was
going
going to bring that up earlier, but I was like, no, let
Was
her
it-
do that.
Well, no, but was it? It was you and I, right?
I think it was y'all too.
Yeah, it was. Trashmore. Ashley was
Was
there.
Ashley
I was
there?
there.
Okay,
What
'cause
do you call her?
Well, no, so, yeah.
It was what doctor was that?
It was a gastrointestinal
Okay.
doctor.
We had a.
So we're funny and we think things
Or
are we're like
Topman. It was Topman that gave us the results.
Oh, and so we're kind of,
Yeah.
we can be immature.
Yeah.
Very.
you have to be.
And at that time, so y'all explain the story, but she was diagnosing something like, so I'm getting cut open so much that basically my esophagus,
Developed
Didn't you
scar
have to put
tissue.
something down your throat for a while or
yeah,
something?
there was these tests. I had to do this
Yeah.
awful test, and they diagnosed that my esophagus, when I try to drink, sometimes will close up. But there's a name for it. And Brittany's taking, are you taking notes or is Ash taking notes?
I don't remember.
So I think Brittany's taking notes, and she's like, okay, Nutcracker esophagus. Okay, da 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 da. And then I think we get out of the meeting and we're talking, and Brittany's like, yeah, she has like Nutcracker esophagus.
I told Scott.
Oh, okay.
Scott. We had to call
Oh.
Scott.
Yeah.
And Scott's like, wait, what?
What?
And then we're like, yeah, Nutcracker
He's like,
esophagus.
yeah, she does. Or something like
And then we all realized, like, oh, that's funny.
I was like, how did I not crack up when they said that? Because we were so in robot mode of like trying to take notes and figure it out. I'm on normal self.
normally you would
I
have,
would have been like,
yeah,
you know,
sausage wallet.
yeah, it would have gone downhill fast.
Yeah.
But anyway, when I read,
It went downhill fast later.
yeah,
Because Scott was like,
Poor Scott.
Brittany, did you just say Nutcracker or
Wait,
something?
you're saying my wife has a nutcracker esophagus? Like what? I'm like, that's what they said. I don't know.
Which is a very serious condition and not like
Yeah.
knocking
Yeah.
it down. Like it does suck. Like I'll take drinks
Yeah.
but it's funny. But because I
Never
can say
heard
it's
that
funny
term.
because I have it. So
yeah. I was like,
but-
of course so.
And those are again moments you just have to make it funny.
Yeah.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like you
Right.
just have to make it funny because
I'm
if
glad he brought it
not,
up because it was.
you would just be, bogged down.
Scott's loving
Yeah.
that you brought it up.
It literally was reading the note. Poor guy.
so funny.
Oh, Scott.
I want to know what you call.
Oh,
We have names for all. I have a lot of names, but
And bees.
Okay, so
Yeah.
maybe all
Trashmore.
of these don't get on the actual.
Well, Trashmore's not
podcast.
bad.
well, yeah, she's always called me Trashmore.
I think
I
because
mean-
when she was little, she got called Ash the Trash with a big red rash.
Yes.
And so then
Yes.
it was like Trashly because her name was Ashley.
Yes.
And then it just ended up being Trashmore somehow.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't either. And I'm
And
sorry.
Brittany calls
No,
her
it's-
that religious.
Yeah,
thing.
I
that
don't
is
even
my
think about
name.
it.
Her
And
name.
she's like so like
I get-
poised and put together, and like
Yeah.
nothing like that. That's why it's so funny. You know, like she's so not Trashmore.
But I am. I do have Trashmore moments.
We do.
Well, and then they call me Beast, which seems so normal to us. But they're like, why do they call you
I know.
Beast? And I'm like, yeah, Beast. My name's Beast. So Beast is mine. Beastie.
Or Beastie.
Or
Well,
Beastie.
we have okay, we have lots of names.
Yeah.
And then
then
Amy was Webster because she's so smart.
Yeah.
Oh,
And she is a dictionary.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Of
Amy
course.
And I
That's
always
the way
call
with
it. Well, I always call
I
it.
think
I'm the
actually
only one that
Courtney's
calls-
mom gave me that name.
I think my mom
Yeah.
did.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Amy Webb.
And I always call Courtney Casey.
Casey.
Yeah.
Because Courtney Cargile, but
Was
you
my
know,
name.
but, yeah, so I always go Casey. But so yeah, we just have. I mean, they probably are a little inappropriate sometimes.
I mean, Ashley's is probably.
Sorry. I don't know why it's always.
What? Just my name?
Just your name.
Yeah. I definitely keep them laughing just with like my daily
Grind.
like
Daily
just
grind.
random things that happen to me. That,
Because she is so put together.
Uh-huh.
I mean, she.
I don't
And
know.
can
and
we
it's
talk
just
about the
together.
Marco when she came out from the tanning
Oh man.
with the nails?
yeah.
She got
I
a
don't
really
know.
dark.
So
tan.
Marco, do you guys know what Marco is?
It's Marco
Okay,
Polo.
I don't
It's
even
an
know.
app.
Is it still
It's
a
a
big
thing.
thing?
No.
So
But you have to pay for it now, so we had to like drop
yeah,
it.
so we had to
Oh,
drop
yeah.
it.
Yeah, we're
but-
too cheap for that.
yeah, it's like the
It's
like a video
Like,
chat.
it's like a
Yeah.
video.
It's a video
Yeah.
text you can send, so
Yeah.
you don't have to be live.
You don't
so
have
I
to
could
be, but
take it and send
normally it's like your face, you know, or what you're looking at. You can show
Right.
anybody, and
You
for
can change
us,
voices on it too.
You can
You
change your
can.
voice.
At
yeah.
Trashmore would go macho voice,
Oh, yeah.
and that's what would make it just even.
But like we introduced
Hello.
that like in one of
Well,
her very
remember
dark times. She was in the
it. She was
hospital.
in the hospital.
We couldn't go
we
in.
couldn't go see her.
And we found Marco.
This is a way to like lay eyes on each other
Mhm.
and
Right.
it
keep
was
things
the
light and
biggest
funny.
blessing
It
during
was.
that journey.
It was.
And
really was.
I will never forget
Yeah.
like when Soul went dark and
Mhm.
wasn't on it.
Right.
You know what
Well, 'cause
I
I
mean?
couldn't
because
be.
she couldn't be because she was obviously in lung failure. You
I
know,
know.
But that
fighting for her
was-
life. But like she wasn't on it for a good I don't know how many days. And then I'll never forget I was there the day that
That
in the
y'all
hospital
Marco'd.
that I put her back on Marco.
Yeah.
And they were just like,
We were
oh
like,
my gosh, that was on Marco.
It's that
you know?
beach ball comes up on the phone and it says
Yeah,
Selwa's
Selwa's
on
on
Marco or
Marco.
whatever, and I was like,
Oh my gosh. Like we didn't know if we'd ever see it again.
yeah.
Yeah.
And to
You
hear
know?
your voice and just to see
Yeah.
you, I was just like,
But it was also a great way when we were in Phoenix to also show the others like what is
Yeah,
what
going
you're doing,
on
yeah.
or where you go. And so
Yeah.
it was very helpful because you can text it, but seeing something or seeing their face is always helpful.
Mhm.
So it was probably a game changer during the second transplant.
I would agree.
And again,
now, you guys touched a little bit on it earlier, but ICU psychosis. Was that ever a thing? That I heard about that before, like where you really the stuff happens that is like almost out of body.
Like
in
y'all were there for
ICU?
3 days, but it felt
oh,
like
you mean
10,
that we
or, like, you just-
experienced or
No,
that she
she.
experienced?
Oh, me?
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah.
y'all? Because I
Yeah.
feel like y'all kind of
Yeah.
experienced
Why
it
don't
too.
you talk
No.
about the hair? Can we talk about the hair?
Oh, there's lots of things that y'all did
There
to me.
are.
Oh, no, but this is an example of the psychosis.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, then because
You were there. I was
Brittany and
there.
I were there.
Yeah.
yeah.
And
Yeah.
So Selwa, and look at her beautiful hair. Like, okay, like
and she loves her hair.
Yes.
And she
Well,
has
and I'm
loved her hair
vain.
since
no, you're not vain.
her
You're just-
whole life.
You were
Forever.
She brushed her
She used
hair
to get in
in
trouble
7th
at
grade
school
at
for
lunch,
brushing her
and
hair.
she
At
would
lunch,
just sit and
the
brush
table.
her
Well, no,
hair.
I'd wait
In between
2 minutes,
classes.
like I'd
the
look at
2 minutes,
clock,
and you'd go.
and it would say 2 minutes before the bell would ring. So I'd be like, okay, got to start my like.
And she'd brush her hair at the end of lunch.
Again,
She
that was
loves
what
her
I could
hair.
control.
Right.
It was.
I mean, I know now. I
Yeah.
look at it. It was a coping mechanism.
100%.
That
Yeah.
I could only control.
right.
So many
But if you
things.
know how much she loves her hair, then this story.
So post surgery, she had apparently, during surgery, she had a bunch of trobes glued
I
to
was
her
there when
head.
they put them on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So they were all there, and you've got the gunk and all this stuff, and it'd been a while, and so the nurse was trying to wash her hair, and she's like, "Oh, I've just got this big thing here. I just don't know if I can get it out." I was like, "No, just give me it." So I run to Walgreens, and I get because the hospital stuff is like crap. So I go to Walgreens, and we get
you,
all the
you and
tools.
Ashley got this stuff first.
Okay.
Y'all got the conditioner and
Oh, yeah.
combs.
we got
and-
the tools.
And again, I don't know what's
No,
going on.
she has no idea.
She is out
Like,
of it.
I'm out.
So we worked on that sucker forever.
For days.
Yeah,
till
it
I
was a
got
huge
there.
knot.
There was a knot that was not
Huge.
coming out, and it was big.
Big.
And
That nurse.
Courtney and I
She looked at us.
I said, we're gonna have to cut it
Well,
out.
the nurse told us.
Oh,
The
is that what
nurse
she
was
said?
like, someone's got to cut it.
Oh, that's
And
right. she
Brittany
did.
and I look at each other and I'm like, I'm not
Uh-uh.
cutting her hair.
Nobody
I'm
wanted
not
to take
cutting
that.
her hair.
And I looked at you and I was like, don't you ever tell her I cut her hair. And so, anyway, this feeds into what you were hearing.
So
Yeah.
what were you? What
Because
were
then,
you?
like the next day, she got mad at me. Like
Yeah.
I was up taking care of her and I touched her hand and she like pulled her hand away and she wouldn't let me
Because
touch
I
her.
thought you were cutting my head off.
And she thought
I had
in her
You
head,
remember this?
no. The only thing I remember is the delusional experience that I'm having. Like I guess I don't know what's going on, but
She's
I
coming
in
out of
my
all the
mind,
drugs.
Yeah.
in my mind, I'm hearing voices and
Talking about cutting
and
people's
I
heads.
hear scissors.
yeah.
And I would hear heads drop, and I would hear Courtney, and so I was just, of course, it'd be out of all of it. Courtney would be the one that would, cut my head off.
For sure.
And
I
I
had those
thought
heads
she
off.
had planned. She was planning on cutting my head off.
Yeah.
Your head.
And other people's heads.
And
Yeah,
other
and,
people's,
yeah,
you said
yeah,
I'd done
just-
it to other people in
Yeah.
the hospital.
And you're
Yeah.
pissed.
I'm
And I
all
was
for
like-
it. I will
But
cut
we didn't
was
people's
so
heads
we
off
didn't
for
put
you.
any of that together till like almost 6 months later.
well,
How much
yeah,
you could
no.
talk about it.
Well, and I will say, y'all never told me that y'all cut my hair
No.
until
No.
one day
No.
I'm brushing
Oh,
my
so
hair.
you really did.
We
And-
had to.
No,
Yeah.
we had to cut it. It
And
was
I
a
was
huge
like-
knot.
It was gonna get worse.
It was awful.
Well, and they never told me, and I was doing my hair, and I was like, babe. Why do I have like a hole
Balls.
right here? There's like no just like scalp. Like he's like, oh babe, well you had a lot of. I mean, because I had scars that I still have scars that I don't even know from what.
Uh-huh.
And yeah, and he was like, oh well, the girls cut your hair. I was like, what? yeah,
They would never.
they never
I'm gonna
told
tell you
like-
each little hair. I was very
I
particular
know.
about
like getting as far away from, like keeping it as long as
Oh.
possible.
And as soon as she could get in a chair, we were straightening her hair in the
Uh-huh.
ICU.
Oh, yes.
For her. And I remember the nurse being like, we love those nurses.
Oh, they
too.
were so kind.
They being like,
There
we've
were some
never
great
seen
ones.
anyone with a straightener in the ICU. And I'm like, well,
Yeah.
here we are.
Well,
I love how that y'all just appeased me. Like, I'm sure, like, just the fact you're like,
it was
hey, you know what?
important to you, and that's what was
Yeah.
important to us.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And whatever made you feel good is what we wanted.
And we were trying to calm her, and we
Yeah.
tried to play songs she liked.
Oh, not
And
the Kesha. Was that the
Courtney-
I
Kesha?
played the
Yeah.
Kesha song. It was like the middle. It had to be the middle of the night because we were setting alarms.
Ocean's Work.
But she
loved-
listened to Oceans. But there was a Kesha song she was listening to before she went to Phoenix, and she loved it. So I was like, okay, well, we've played Oceans for days, so let me
Yeah.
just get the Kesha. And her eyes just
Oh.
popped open,
Uh-uh.
and she looked at me, and I was like,
I
oh.
was like, turn it,
and,
turn it.
and I sat down. I was like, don't play Kesha. It's not a good
I
idea.
thought, didn't you guys? I don't remember this, but I thought, did y'all tell me that I like literally thought it was like the devil's
yeah,
music?
you were like,
Yeah.
that's the devil.
yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
like devil.
I think
And-
I was so
No dissing
clo- I was,
Kesha or
I
anything.
think
yeah,
I was like
no
hanging out
dissing Kesha.
Yeah.
But
Well,
you,
yeah.
you did not like that song, and I
Well-
was like, note to self: everyone, don't play Kesha. Just stay with Oceans. It's
Yeah,
solid.
stay with
But I mean, I think that's a testament to how Christian music really can
right.
help you in situations because I think I was just hanging out honestly, probably in heaven
I-
with
I
God, and God was
100%
probably
agree.
like, no,
No.
we're not doing Kesha.
Kesha's
here."
not going to ruin my time here.
Yeah, and so I mean, for me,
I just was
because I don't
like,
even
well, let's give her
remember
some
this.
variety. you
Yeah.
know? Why not?
Go back to the oceans.
I know. So I told
Or
Brittany-
Pride and Prejudice.
Or Pride
Those
and
are the two
Prejudice.
things.
Those
She
are the
was
two
over it
things.
by the time I got there, though.
Yeah.
She was like, I don't.
She'd come out a little bit more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This was she
No,
was
she was
pretty
still definitely not.
Oh.
together.
One night she thought that her dogs were
Oh,
in
yeah.
a very hot car. She's like, the dogs are in the car. The dogs are in the car. She would like
Right.
have these
Think-
moments of just like fears, right?
Mhm.
That
Mhm.
random
Mhm.
fears that would pop up, which I guess is understandable. You're in a super scary place and you don't know what's going on.
And you've lost time.
yeah,
I
Mhm.
mean,
Yeah.
um,
and
as
you're
much-
coming off the drugs,
Right.
Which
Yeah.
was a lot of the psychosis.
so
The
yeah.
steroids.
well, and they told you
Cost.
that before you went in that
Mhm.
a lot of this would happen.
Mhm.
Because
Yeah.
then we fired that doctor.
oh, I was going to bring that up, and then I was like,
Yeah,
I
wasn't
don't
there a
know.
doctor that claimed that I was a vegetable or?
yes.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That
So I
was a
have a little-
very
He was a very
miracle
dark-
moment. Remember, I sat next to you. I was like, "Who's that man?"
Shady. Mhm.
Really?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
he
I mean,
he
I've-
just didn't need to be in there.
I feel like it was very negative energy
Mhm.
going.
Tell him
towards
exactly.
And she
though,
felt
y'all.
that too.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
Yeah,
I
she felt
remember
it.
that too, but in a
Mhm.
different way.
Yeah.
It was
Um,
awful. It was like a moment in my life that I will
Not
that
forget.
I have never said I've felt
Evil.
evil.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
What?
And
Like,
I felt
really?
evil.
So you
Yeah.
felt, I remember y'all telling me this, but y'all felt like he came in to
To
almost
steal
to
our
steal the
hope.
hope.
That's
Tell
remember
him what
steal
he
our
You
said.
hope.
called me.
We
I'll
called
never
Ashley.
forget. I was
We were
outside in
crying.
You seen
mailbox.
through
It
the
was
window.
awful. I saw him through the window
Mm-hmm.
because in the ICU, it's a big room, but there's a window, over to the right where her nurse would always sit. And that man, he walked by. Well, there's windows right here. He walked by the windows. I was like, "Who's that man?" He was in a suit.
He wasn't your regular doctor.
He was
either.
not a regular doctor, and every other person that came in was in scrubs. And I was like, "Brittany, who's that man?" He just sat at Soa's desk, and we're just watching him and watching him. And remember, he came in and he was like yelling.
Yelling.
At
Very
me.
talking loud, I
Yeah.
guess. But it was very calm, quiet room. We weren't talking even at this level.
Mhm.
And he was like, Miss Mitchell, do you hear me? And she could not respond. Remember, he asked her do you feel my feet? He
Mhm.
rubbed her feet. And then he told her to like lift her arms, and she didn't.
He goes, see?
See, and then he said, do you have her husband? And Brittany said, I'll get him on the phone.
Mhm.
And Brittany called Scott. I guess Scott talked to him.
Yeah.
And then Scott called you back.
Mhm.
And
But he was diagnosing me as a vegetable, right?
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
Brittany
He
could
was
call.
like, there's nothing here.
There's
She
nothing.
can't respond to anything.
Yeah.
And
She will be like
you
this
sat,
forever.
You sat over and you said,
No. He came back. Remember,
Oh.
he came back.
and you talked to
Well,
him.
no, I
You-
think you were like,
yeah, I trained you.
I don't
We
remember
trained
this,
you.
but I remember you telling me you were like, Soa, whatever,
Show
whatever
him.
he
Yeah,
says,
show.
Yeah.
You will
Yeah.
do.
like y'all
So
were willing
he
to
told Brittany,
respond.
Scott told Brittany that that Soul was going to be like that forever.
Mhm.
And I mean, we're in this room. We haven't slept in days. And we were both like, that's not true.
Mm-mm.
And we went out.
I've seen her.
We called Ashley. And
Not-
I think we were like on our knees
Yeah.
praying. And Ashley's like, don't let him steal our hope. And we were like, yes.
I was like, he's the devil.
Mhm.
yeah.
He's come to steal the
Yeah.
hope.
He was
He's
dark.
come.
He
He
was
was very
dark.
dark.
I was
It-
like, and we can't let
we
him do
can't let
that.
them do that. And so we went back, and for a day, he was coming back the next day. And for a day, Brittany and I trained Selwa. We would like lay there and like rub her head and like tell her, Selwa, a man is going to come back and he's going to ask you to do these things, and you're going to have to do them. You have to do them.
Wow.
And
You did it.
when he came back in, Brittany went up and talked to him, and I leaned down. I was like, he is here, and we're going to do this. And she
Uh-uh.
did it all.
Mhm.
No.
It was crazy.
It was.
Mhm.
And then
Like,
at the end of it, you go, I love you.
I love you.
Yeah.
And that's what she kept saying to him is,
Right.
I love you.
And so my memory is that there was a very bad spirit
Mhm.
in my presence. I don't remember this at all, but I remember I can tie things together in my perspective.
Mm.
And there was a very bad evil presence. And in my mind, I felt like if I could just tell him that I
Yeah,
love him,
that's all
he
she
would
could
be
say to him.
okay, and he would release whatever this hold he has. Like he needed to be told that I loved him, and I'm sure he probably thought I was crazy because I was
Yeah.
like, I love you.
That's all she would say. That
No
second
way.
time
Yeah,
was,
and I
love you.
and the only memory I have of that, because when y'all tell me stories and then I tie them to what I thought at the time, I remember having this. Someone was tapping on me and hitting
Yeah,
me.
he was tapping everywhere.
And
everywhere.
I would just be like, I love you. It's okay. It's
Mhm.
okay.
But he kept yelling her name, Miss
Yeah.
Mitchell. And like, we did not call her Miss Mitchell. Like,
Mhm.
we called her Selwa or Beast or anything. And like, he was just he was yelling. I mean, I don't think he was yelling,
Mhm.
but it was very loud.
It was
to us.
condescending,
It
too.
was
Yes.
condescending. Thank you.
Yeah, it was pretty
Yes.
much like, she's a
She's-
vegetable.
Done.
I wish we could go find him today.
I know. I wish we could. Well, I do believe after that, Scott
Oh,
fired
right.
him.
I never
Yeah.
saw him again.
No, Scott
Yeah.
called and said, I never want that man in my
Yeah.
wife's room again.
Yeah.
Right. Rightfully so.
Rightfully so.
Mhm.
Advocating again.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And he wasn't even in Phoenix, I think. Or
Yeah.
he may have been in Phoenix, but
Probably
I don't know. That
trying-
was after.
That was
He may have
the only kind of darkness that I ever saw
Ever
with
saw.
anything.
been with anything.
hmm
And I can still feel it to this day.
Yeah. It's,
It's crazy.
Right. Because I really do believe when I think back at all this time, I always feel like I was surrounded by light. I
Yeah.
always felt, even though I don't remember things, I always felt at peace and calm. Maybe I didn't show it from my actions, but when I think back, everything was very peaceful because y'all created that environment through prayer, through oceans.
oceans.
But yeah, so that again, there's
Yeah.
there's all those little stories that are just
Mhm.
Like the night of when I was there after Scott had gone home, and I told him his wife was gonna go home,
Naked.
and then that they called. Well, Scott stayed home and slept that night, so I just prayed over her the entire
Entire
night.
night.
Like I did not sleep. I
Mhm.
just prayed over her, and she was not at all communicating. And then it was about an hour before she went out. And I don't know who gave you the cross, the hand cross.
Yeah, there's a wooden cross that I would hold, but I don't
yes.
remember.
She would hold it, and I leaned down, and she had not made any movement. I tried to talk to her, and I just said, "Listen, when you get in there and you're scared, remember, you just have to say Jesus' name in your head, and He's there. You know, I mean, you don't have to pray. Like, just say His name." And she just looked at me, and she was like, you know, and
Yeah, and I think one other thing I did say that Scott told me, because I had completely separated myself from my children in my head because the only way to survive this would be to not have any type of guilt and he said that I said to him, I hadn't said anything, but I just said, tell the children I love them. So it's interesting that your present and your mind is all there. But I kind of do think I was just hanging out in heaven.
I
you know?
know. I
and
firmly
protecting
believe it.
yourself, right?
Yeah.
And I think I remember Scott saying to me, "I'm so glad she said that about the kids." And I said, "Oh, she knows, but
Yeah.
she can't talk about it because it hurts too bad."
Right.
You know, I mean, like when you're in fight mode, like right, you can't let your head go
Go there,
anywhere but
but
just the
fight.
fight.
Yeah.
You know, and
And I think to be like when I went into on the table, I really think that y'all had prepared my spirit to be ready for the table because I don't think I was supposed to survive the table. I really don't. I mean, I think like y'all saw the blood everywhere and like y'all, I mean, I think I might like physically on my own, I would not have been able to survive the table. But when you add the prayer and the fight
and her mental strength
And
yeah,
right.
I survived.
And her faith.
and her faith. Yeah, and the doctors. Of
And
course.
the
We love the doctors.
Of course, could not do it without them. But I think I was trying to help them out a little.
Just a little bit.
I think sometimes she even amazes doctors
Oh,
definitely.
every
Sure.
day.
Well, there was
100%.
definitely stories, just from a physical perspective. That
Well,
yeah,
remember
like,
we went to the eye doctor and we were there 4 hours.
I know it was exhausting.
It was so tiring. She just had to get her eyes checked, and this lady wanted to hear her whole story
gosh.
for 4 hours. And Sol and I are like, we just want to go eat.
But but from a
We need
medical
food.
perspective, they're just
Right.
like, wait, what? And you
she
did what?
She
And-
wanted to know everything.
Mm.
So she was very nice, but we were there for a long time.
Yeah, my story is not a short tell.
Right.
your story is amazing.
Mm.
And I hope that we get to hear all the details of all the, you come back after.
Yes.
We'll be here to tell another story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I didn't get to tell you guys, but the studio has to end at 7 instead of 8.
Okay,
We had
perfect.
like a
I think we have a good
So-
time.
we had a
good
great,
time.
great time. And is there anything else that anyone wants to say?
Well, just thank you for sharing
Yeah,
her
thank
story.
you.
I
Yeah.
know.
You know, I mean, like that's, I think we're really protective of Selwa, you know, as you can tell. And like, you know, I just love that you guys, I can tell you're really concerned, you know, not curious, you know what I mean? And that you want this to go out in the right way. And we appreciate that.
Mhm.
And
So I don't know if Salwa told you, but the whole idea came because somebody said she should write a book, and then she had posted that she felt like she's running out of time. So that's how I came up with the idea to record it in chapters
Mm.
and to have someone write a book
Mhm.
in the end, which we don't know when that is. There
Mm.
can be so many chapters added. So there's
Yeah.
no end time. We do this podcast because we love to do it. We care about people's stories, and that's really all this is about. This was an idea I had. I've never done it before, but I know we can figure it out together. So I think that that's important. And I feel this is an amazing group of people, and I feel blessed that you have come on the show, and we are going to do lots more. I still want to do. I
So
want to
honored.
do chapters with your
Yeah.
children and your
Yeah.
parents and the
Yeah.
doctors and the nurses. That we have a lot to do.
Yeah.
lot
So
of-
you guys,
Yeah.
I'll be back.
yes. So, but anybody else say anything? You
Thank
guys take
Yeah.
the
Just
time.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank
we're
you.
so
You
thankful for you
both.
guys.
for sharing.
Thank you for coming. I mean,
Yeah,
thank
I
you
know,
for flying in
flying.
town.
I would not have missed this for the world. Are you kidding me?
And
We-
it gives her a good reason to go eat dinner.
Yeah, I was
Yeah.
gonna say.
Yeah.
Hopefully you guys go eat after.
Yeah.
I look for any small reason to come and see all their faces.
I
And
bet. I mean, who
this was
wouldn't?
a great
This
was a
is
great
amazing.
a great reason. So just thank you both for
No, thank
giving
you
us
guys
this
for
Yeah,
opportunity.
thank you
coming.
for coming. It's amazing. It's
Very,
very
very blessed.
inspiring.
The
Yeah.
inspiration on so many levels is
Mhm.
for me unbelievable. And I have a group of friends just like
Aw.
you
Oh,
guys
yes.
in Austria, and I
Yeah.
don't get to see them
They don't.
because I live here, but always in my heart the same. Also from since we were very young,
Yeah.
so I can relate to all of you so much, and it makes me teary because it's very, very rare.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
I thank all of you so much.
Absolutely.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
And
Thank you.
thank you for listening
Thank you
to
for
our
listening.
listeners.
And if you haven't listened to Sella's first episodes, I don't know the numbers, top of my
I
head.
think
but she did tell
325.
her story with her husband.
Yes, her
If you
husband
need to
was-
go back.
and we're not even done releasing all those chapters. We have still, I think, 2 more chapters of that, and then we'll cut this up in many
Yeah.
chapters. So
Thank
you
you.
guys.
we can't wait.